Warning: the following content may contain elements that are not suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rolling? Sweet. All right. Well, we are live now. And before I introduce our next guest, of course, welcome back to Win the Night podcast. I am Josh Lopez. I'm the host, as you may already know. Before I introduce our next guest, I just want to give her the opportunity to introduce herself because ultimately that is the best way to introduce somebody who you'd like to know better. Please introduce yourself.
Hi. My name is Bree. I really don't know. I'm a mom. I really don't do anything. I work at McDonald's. That's really it.
No, I mean, you do more than that. I think we should also mention that you are the fiance.
Yeah, I guess I'm.
What am I, chocolate?
Jake's fiance. Yeah.
Yeah, which is, for anybody who doesn't know, now the executive producer of Win the Night podcast. And it definitely appreciate you coming on to the show. I know that everybody that tells me the drive is like forever because it's just away from everyone, unfortunately. But before we do get started, I kind of like to dial things back. I do know you from high school, of course. But other than that, like I really never got a chance to know you too well. And so I do like to kind of wind it back to what it was like for you growing up, because when I met you, we were already like, I don't even know. Do you remember what year it was? Because I think it was probably around sophomore year was when we really started to interact.
I think so. Honestly, like I don't really remember before that. I just clips, but not really.
We went to middle school.
I think middle school together.
Together, yeah.
We weren't in any of the same class. You're
Nope.
smart, so like.
No. That's a misconception. That actually was an average C student, believe it or not.
Worth it.
Yep. So I'm sorry to disappoint you. But yeah, in middle school, we went to the same middle school, but I didn't really know you then. It wasn't until high school till I actually said words to you. But so what was it like for you growing up? How many siblings did you have? Were you a small family, big family?
I mean, I guess I would say a small family. I have two brothers. One is older, one is younger. So it was kind of weird. I was sandwiched in the middle. It was kind of weird growing up because my mom got sick when I was younger. So I feel like it's weird, but a lot of it kind of roots back to that and having to step in to be, I don't know, a weird role that I was thrown into and I had no idea what I was doing. And it's just kind of you grow up and that's kind of how it goes.
What was childhood like? Were you an outgoing kid? Were you somebody who, liked to talk? I know when I was a kid, I was in the corner, as I was through high school. So, what was it like growing up for you?
I growing up, I don't know, I kind of felt like I was the weird one and I talked way too much and I still talk way too much, but I don't know, I'm kind of working on it. But I talk way too much and I'm too quiet now. But I know I was way too loud and I talked way too much. And growing up, it was actually weird because I didn't get diagnosed with ADHD till high school. So it was really weird, going through. I was I'm just really weird. And I didn't know why I was so hyper or I'd be so crazy sometimes. Yeah. And I had no idea. And it times I thought there's something wrong with me. I was no, it's kind of normal. A lot of people go through this. And it was just, that was kind of the weird thing about it.
Yeah, ADHD. That my sister was diagnosed with ADHD not that long ago, probably a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years. But it seems to appear a little bit different in everybody. For her, it wasn't necessarily talking a lot, or maybe it was when talking to friends, but mostly she was just up very late, couldn't sleep. A lot of times we would find her at 3 a.m. I remember she used to get in trouble all the time because everybody would be asleep and then you'd see her room light still on at 3 a.m. And my parents would be like, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be asleep." And then we couldn't really understand it because when I was a kid, we were out by 9 p.m. It was pretty strict for us. By 9 p.m. we were out cold. And she was just the only one that stayed up to 3 a.m. no matter what, almost every night. And obviously later that makes more sense. But for you, what was it like? When did you notice something was different? Because obviously at some point there was probably was there ever a moment for that for you?
I mean, like, well, like in high school, we did talk about it more, and like it was a lot more noticeable. But like, I don't know, like it was more like 8th grade when I noticed. I was kind of like my cousin would have outbursts, and he was diagnosed when he was younger with ADHD, and I was like, oh, sometimes I get mad like him, and I thought it was like I was like almost scared because I was like, oh no, like, am I a bad kid if this is what it was? But I kind of like noticed in like 8th grade, and that's when I like actually we went to like a therapist, and we started talking for depression and other things because of my mom. And that's when they were like, oh, hey, guess what? This is what this is. And I was like, oh, I'm not just like crazy all the time. So that's what I thought it was.
With therapy, I know for me, I've been going to therapy for now 2 years, about 2 years. But I wasn't the first one in my family, so I knew that at some point I should probably go too, because I know my older sister would mention it a lot. For you guys, what was it? Because I think to some degree, and this is just my opinion, I think to some degree everybody has some sort of trauma, and I think that that's one of the things that I got wrong. And to be honest, I used to be like, it doesn't seem like this person really went through as much as I went through, and so therefore I am probably more traumatized than that person, and that's not necessarily true. So what I realized was that everybody to some degree has it, and like even though you might to a higher degree have like maybe it's a crazier story, I guess, than somebody else. To them, that's the craziest thing they've ever experienced. And so the gravity of it is exactly what it would be to you, because they don't know that level of gravity. Does that make sense? Like, that's just my opinion. And so maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think that realizing that was really important to understanding what it's like for other people. So for you, what was it like? What made you want to go to therapy, or did your mom get you into therapy? What was it?
Well, actually, like we went to a therapist, I would say, like as a family. It was like, I hate to say like 8th grade, but that's like how I remember it.
Yeah.
But it was my dad's idea because my mom actually passed in 8th grade. So that's why my dad and my grandma were like, oh, it'd be a good idea. Get him into therapy. They'll start talking. And really, we just like fought more. So we got out of that, which was nice. But then we like didn't talk as a family, which is kind of weird. But I thought it was like really well how you put it. Like everyone does have their own traumas, and it's like you can't tell what everyone's trauma is like immediately.
Right.
And it's just like I don't know. You can just how like people deal with it differently, and like how they kind of internal it. You know what I mean? Because like you might not have the same things, but you know what I mean. You're, like I said, you seem smart. You seem very nice and just like kind, like a warm kind of person. And like I mean, I wouldn't really see that you had those like dark things. And
sure,
I'm not saying dark things or like bad things behind you.
Yeah, you're right that it shows up different in different people. Let me give you an example. Like for what I've noticed with my brother, my older brother, like we went through the same thing. My older brother and I, we grew up together. When my parents divorced, it was just us two for a long time. And so you could say that we went through the same experience, but he's entirely a different person than I am. And so for him, he internalized it more, where I kind of externalized it more. So with him, it was kind of pushed in, and it would come out in outbursts in different stressful situations. It would come out, and I would say he's more conflict avoidant, and where I'm more confrontational, I guess you could say. And so, you could say, well, it seems like he handled it better because I have more outbursts, right? And so, but the truth is, it just comes out in a different way. And for you, how did you manage, losing your mom? And again, I'm sorry that happened. That's awful at such a young age to lose your mom. How did you manage that?
I don't know. Like I know, like when I was younger, it was just like I kind of like dug it, like held on to it, and like I don't know. I still kind of have a hard time like talking about her. Sometimes I bring it up, and it's just like little things, set me off. But a lot of it is just like it's a slow process, and they say like grief always will get smaller, but like it kind of like grief doesn't get smaller. Your life kind of grows bigger around it. So like that's like I always try and like bring up my mom to like I know it's stupid, but like our toddler like Maddie. She's 19 months, so I'm always like, oh, well, this is like my mom's favorite song. So like I'll like play that song for her all the time, and like it is like weird. Even like now I get emotional to bring up like certain little things. Yeah. But like even things like that. Sorry, that like didn't upset me when I was younger. I was like, oh, I'm fine. I'm past this. Like I could talk about her all the time, and now I'll be like hit, and it's like, oh, like dang, like I can't You know what I mean? Like I'm upset now. So sorry.
Yeah, no. You're okay. Well, that's really hard, especially because like in eighth grade, if I were to think about what I was doing in eighth grade, I was not even thinking about what I was going to do with my life. At the time, I was still like trying to, hey, I'm going to hang out with my friends, and that's my idea of a good time, and then come home and see my parents, right? And so to have to deal with that, that's not easy for you. Were a kid ultimately, and so there was no tools available for that. How do you feel therapy affected the way that you handled it?
Um, I don't know. Honestly, like at first,
Yeah.
it was like we did like family therapy,
Mhm.
and that's something I did not like because I felt like we all kind of needed our own little therapist. And
Right.
maybe we shouldn't have went because they were like going straight to our dad and like telling him like what was wrong or like things we would say. And I
Mhm.
felt like I had no like boundary,
Mhm.
and like he knew everything. And then like even when I went back in high school, like me and my dad saw the same therapist. Sorry, I probably shouldn't say that, but like
No,
we
that's
did. And like at the time, like now I think about it, it's like the therapist only really wanted money. Like he wasn't there to like help us. Like
I'm sorry to hear that.
like it does suck, and like that he was the one who said to say like, hey, you have ADHD, and I was like, oh cool, and like he was actually like nice and someone I could talk to.
Yeah.
But then like at the end he'd be like, he'd bring my dad and like, oh well, we could talk to him at first, and then he was like, well, your dad should have therapy, and then like it was kind of like, oh well, you should stay the entire time, maybe I should see you 2 times a week. And my dad was like, no, like this isn't helping at all. Like him, he said that like, if we talked about it, it would help work things out, and it did not. It just like it would cause more fights between me and my dad. And so now, like, I don't know, like, I've gone to, like, therapy and, like, talked to therapies, like, we've done, like, online therapy, which, like, helped for a little bit, but I didn't feel, I don't know, it didn't, like, hit the same for me.
Yeah. Well, one thing I know for sure is that, and that's something I've learned through my experience with therapy too, is, sometimes you have to, unfortunately, like if you experience a bad therapist, that's the biggest, that's the biggest reason for people not continuing therapy is they'll have a bad therapist and they'll be like, it doesn't work. And then the worst part is that, they miss out on what it could be like if you do get a good therapist and, you're somebody that helps you move on from certain situations. Whereas there's certain things that I just, for me, I didn't have the tools to deal with, like my parents' divorce, for example. I didn't have the tools to deal with that by myself. Like, how could I, as a kid, handle what had happened, and then as an adult be like, well, what really happened? And so that's really where, we kind of are. And I feel like maybe I don't want to speak for you, but I think that that's what we're doing is trying to figure out what really happened and was it really my fault? Because I feel a lot of guilt, even to this day, that I have to deal with of like, was it me or am I not good enough? And so I could only imagine, what you go through when you think about your mom and, the aftermath, because like you said, you went with your, you had a lot of fights with your dad regarding it. What is your relationship now like with your dad?
It's a fun one, I would say. During the pandemic, I was actually like we lived all together with me and my older brother and him. We lived in a house, but he met this wonderful lady and she got sick, so he had to move in with her, which was like understandable. But our relationship all kind of got like it kind of got strained, I would say. And then luckily, I met Jake, and then it's been getting a lot better. And I just feel like right now it's a lot better than what it was, but there is still some like distance there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. With Maddie, it's a lot better.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get in our life, and it's nice.
So you do feel like he's at least making an effort to
Sometimes.
yeah. It's hard, I don't know what it's like to be a parent, and I guess you could fill me in because that's one of the things that I've wondered for a long time, like what that's going to be like, especially because I come from a family that got divorced, and so like I wonder, how did that affect my ability to be a parent? Because I haven't seen what 2 good parents look like because I just never saw that. I wasn't a witness to it, and so for you right now, with Maddie, how do you feel it's going? Do you think like it was anything like you thought it was going to be?
Kind of a not. Like everyone's like, oh, it's gonna be crazy, and like yeah, like it's crazy, but she's growing so fast. It's almost like I don't have time to really like focus on the stress. It's almost like there's so much to stress about. That's like you can't worry about like if you're being a good mom anymore because you just kind of are at this point. Like, is she alive? Yeah. Did she eat today? Yeah. Like that's kind of how it is. I could like focus on like, oh, she doesn't have like the best clothes, or oh, like I didn't get to spend the most time with her, and that's like really what messes with my head because like I do have to work.
Yeah.
But with all the time, like I have to stress on the time like I do spend on with her now.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like crazy because I'm always like, oh my god, what if like I get sick when I'm older? It's like I can't think about that. Like, why would I even think about that? And it's like she's gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. Let's just focus on like now and making sure that I teach her the right things and like the right tools to handle things.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that at all. But I do notice, and I just like to ask, I'm kind of curious regarding the, you worry that, what if you get sick? What is that feeling like for you? Like, are you, obviously you're worried that she won't have a mom, right? Of course, but like for you, what do you think the ultimate fear there is for you?
Honestly, it's just that like I'm so worried that I know that I went through that and I would never want to put her through that. So I think that is kind of like my biggest fear. And like I could go to the doctor and like take care of myself, but right now we're riding on the let's focus on Maddie train, and then like down in a few years when Jake forces me, like I'll take care of myself. But like right now, I just kind of like always have that in my back of my mind, like yeah, maybe I should drink more water, like Jake says, because I should take care of myself.
Yeah.
Because it was like cancer she passed away from, so like it does run in my family.
Yeah.
I should take more care of myself, but no, I'm okay right now. Like Maddie's alive, so that's what we're focusing on.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry that you feel that way, and I do hope that you feel more comfortable, going to the doctor, because let me tell you from my point of view, in my family, we don't go to the doctor. That's something that if there's something wrong with us, then we might go because we're scared. But I found that here's my point of view on that. I believe that you are good enough to be taken care of, and to look after yourself. You're worthy to take care after yourself. And I think that putting your health first isn't putting your child last. And that's just my opinion. I think that ultimately taking care of yourself doesn't have to be like a extra thing. I think that that's part of being there for Maddie. And one thing I started doing was going to the doctor because that's something I want to break. Yeah. Fear is a big driver for both doing and not doing. And so I think that it does help to break that cycle, I think it would be healthy to break that cycle. How do you see that? Do you think would you consider going to the doctor to go and get checked out regularly, or do you think that's something you want to wait on?
I don't know. I probably should go, but right now I'm okay. I just got I say I'm in my adulting stage right now. Yeah. I just got dental and vision insurance to make work, and I was like, wow, that's the most adult thing I could do right now.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, well, I could get medical insurance, but I was like, I could buy Maddie a really awesome stuffed animal, and that's an extra $30 a month. So I was like, I'll just wait. And I was like, that's not the most adult thing I'm doing right now, but we're working on it. And I'll go get glasses soon. I keep promising everyone I'm gonna go get glasses and be an adult, but it's Christmas soon. Yeah. I'm gonna start buying presents now, so I don't have the anxiety about the season.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, if I start it now, I'll get glasses after. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll go to the doctor. I promise. I'll go.
Yeah. No. I and again, I'm not here to rush you into anything. I just like to know where your mind is at regarding that, because I hate to see that that's how emotional that makes you regarding thinking about your mom, and you're worthy of being taken care of. And so I just thought I'd say that. So I did have a question. I kind of went off track a little bit. I did have a question regarding the ADHD. How does it affect you now?
Well, now it's easier for me to notice when I'm doing things and I'm like, oh, that is an ADHD thing. I don't know. A lot of times I'll get lost in what I'm doing and I'll hyper focus on things, and I'll hyper focus on things for a month, and it's not okay, really. I'll get obsessed with the same song for 3 weeks, and Jake's like, "Can you please stop?" And I'm like, "No, I really like this version of this ABBA song." And Jake's like, "Please stop." And I was like, "No." And then I don't know, I do talk way too much at work, and I try and drink coffee, so coffee for some reason calms me down, and I have no idea why. I swear to God, like it seems insane, but like I'll have a cup of coffee and I'm like, okay, I can like relax. And so like I literally have to have like certain things in my life and like set up certain system, or like my brain will just be lost. It's literally like a crazy walk-in closet in here, very lost, but like I know where everything is.
Sure.
So if you don't walk in like the same maze path, like if I don't get my coffee in the morning, if I don't like, if
Yeah,
I don't
you're
like
okay.
do certain things in the morning, like I will be lost all day.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, like Jake will move something, and it's because like, oh, Jake moved it in my brain, it's not there. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, so like we'll have like little tiny fights, and I was like, Jake, can you just do this for me, please? Because I'm dying in there. Like,
Yeah.
please. And like sometimes I have to be like, hey, I'm really stressed, and I haven't explained this to you, but you have to stop doing this because I'm dying. Like, and that's how it works.
Yeah.
And then like we work on it, and it gets through it. But sometimes like I don't really notice how much I'm like, oh, I'm talking a lot right now. Like right now I'm stressed and I'm talking so much, and I'm like, oh, you could stop. And I'm like, okay.
No.
Like-
and see, that's the thing is, if anything, I feel like I would like to hear more, if anything else, because I get, well, maybe because I grew up with somebody diagnosed with ADHD, so it doesn't really, for me, it's not like, I'm not like, oh, you're talking too much. Mine's like, oh, I think I know what you mean, right? Like more of like, oh, I get that because I've seen that before. They say that it's called organized chaos for ADHD brains, where it's like everything's scattered everywhere, but I know where everything is. and I've heard that before, so that's interesting. Is that something that you had since you were? Is that something that evolved, or like was that something you had as a kid? That type of organized chaos?
Oh, I've had this for like a while. Like it's really embarrassing. Like when I did live with my brother, like Jake would come over and I'm like, oh, I know where everything is. And I'm like, don't look how messy my room is. Like my room has been messy literally since I was younger. I always got yelled at about it, but I was like, I know what's going on. And like, I don't know, it's something like I'm trying to focus on fixing and trying not to have Maddie have like that thing. And I was like, okay, Jake, like we can't let Maddie be this crazy or like this organized. And I was like, okay, Jake, like you have to help me be more organized, and that's not working. But like we are working on systems to be more organized.
Yeah,
like, I can notice like, oh no, like me and I would say like me and Jake, we both are kind of like, you know, out on the spectrum somewhere. Like, sorry to out you, but I don't want to like.
He's outed himself.
I just don't want to like throw that onto her, like my disorganized chaos. So I was like, let's teach her normal like people things. Like I want to say like I guess I'm normal, but you know.
Yeah, everybody. Well, normal is such a. I don't like that word, normal. I think normal is does a big disservice to our individuality. Everybody's unique in their own way, but no, I don't think. I don't know if it's that. It's just different. It's you. That's part of who you are. And but anyway, I'm sorry I cut you off. What were you saying?
No, I have no idea. Thank you for cutting me off. Like, thank God.
No, I did have a question regarding the. Did you ever get like medication for ADHD?
I was on ADHD. I was on medication. I'm so sorry, and I keep slapping my legs. I'm so sorry.
No, you're
When
okay.
editing, that's gonna
You're
be
okay.
so annoying.
No.
I am
You're
so
fine.
sorry.
You're fine. I promise.
Sorry. Yeah, I did do medication for like a little while. But I found it just like stressed me out more, and I forgot a lot of times, and then I would like panic all day about how I forgot, or like if I would panic all day if I took it already, and that was an added stressor. And then they were worried. When I was younger, they were worried because like it was an appetite suppressant.
Right.
And I in high school I was a lot heavier, so like they were like, oh no, we don't want to get her in on that. So like my dad cut me off on that and was like, no, we're not going to start doing that, like because I lost like 10 pounds in a month, and then that's when he immediately like cut it off, and I was like, oh okay, like, and I didn't even like think, and I wasn't even like anywhere near the whole eating thing like at that same time, like but I tried it for a little while. It didn't work out like mentally, and like didn't work out like with me. Like it kind of made me, I almost felt like more depressed. So I was like, let's just stop.
And that was the ADHD medication that made you more depressed? I didn't know that was a thing that came with it. So did you follow up with like, did the doctor say anything about that, or was it just like?
Well, like at the time, like I saw like a therapist, and then there was a psychiatrist, and like they knew each other. So like it was kind of like I did follow up with them like every like time we went. We like every like third time I went to the therapist, I'd go and see the psychiatrist, and she talked to me about it, and she was like, well, you know, it's not really like helping, and I don't know. They thought it would help a lot, but my dad was firm like it's not helping, it's not doing anything.
Right.
Because I kind of noticed like I'd come home because I just got so depressed, I would just sleep. So it was almost like it's not helping at all, because like I can maybe focus at school a little longer, but I would just come home and like sleep and not be able to get anything else done. And I was more like I was more mentally messed up. And I was like, yeah, maybe this is like the right thing to do is like not keep going. Cause
Sure.
like I could see myself, going down that like sad
That
thing. You can
yeah.
spot it sometimes.
What about did it help at all, like in regards to your organization or your mental organization, I guess you would say?
Um, I remember like for a little while I had like good school grades. Like I kind of like remembered some things, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I've kind of noticed that like if I can just drink a little caffeine and get myself a little hyper, I can kind of like remember the same thing, and it's almost like kind of the same.
Yeah.
And it's not at all, but like it kind of works. And I was like, oh, I could kind of focus if I do this.
Yeah.
I don't really need the medicine or go talk to the scary lady who's gonna tell me things. Like no.
No, I really appreciate your courage for sure. Caffeine, I guess you could call liquid courage.
Yeah. Right.
But I think I'm interested to know what exactly caffeine does for you. Is it like does it calm your mind down? Because if anything, it makes me jittery. It does the opposite to me.
No, for some reason it's like really calming and just nice. And I think it is like a mental thing because my mom drank coffee growing up the entire time. So just like smelling it even is like relaxing for some reason.
Yeah.
But like I'll drink like coffee and I'll be like fine. Like I could drink a hot cup of coffee and fall asleep. And everyone's like, that's so weird. I'm like, I don't know what it is. It's just the warmth. I can just fall right asleep. And then like Diet Coke, for some reason, if I drink Diet Coke, like I'm okay. Like if I am super stressed out, like I could feel like a physical. I guess it's just like maybe dehydration going away. But like I say it's Diet Coke. It's like
I'll if I would have, let's say for example, I drank anything with caffeine and I sat here, like I would probably be like shaking. Yeah, I crash really bad with caffeine.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I tried it because like I have this thing where I don't know. I always thought I had ADHD, and I went to a psychiatrist as well, and they were like, "Actually, your focus is better than most." And I was like, "What does that?
Fair.
What does that mean?" Because that doesn't make any sense. Because when I was growing up, I had actually it does make sense. He explained it later. It was like you probably have anxiety, and that makes sense because it can mimic a lot of the symptoms of ADHD. Where like when I went to, for example, I understood material a lot of the times in school, but when we went to take a test, I bombed it. I forgot everything.
Everything is gone.
I was just data dumped right that second. So that is anxiety. And so that's what I found out later, that it was actually anxiety, but it does mimic ADHD. And I guess that's another reason why caffeine messes me up, because it drives my anxiety through the roof. And now, like, I was a little bit worried about something, and now, like, it's the primary focus of.
We're very, very stressed about it now. Like, I am caffeinated and ready to be anxiety.
Exactly.
I get that, and I'm so sorry.
No, I'm glad that it helps you, because I'm glad that it's doing something for somebody, because it isn't for me. But getting back on track, though, what was okay? So your diagnosis was 8th grade, is that right?
Yeah.
And growing up after you got the diagnosis, what was it like in school? Because for me, like I mentioned, I was an absolute disaster in school. What was school like for you?
I mean, like, I guess it was kind of like the same thing. Like, I would get, like, just mostly anxiety about, like, tests and stuff. And I didn't really, like, I guess everyone's like, oh, you can get longer time for ADHD. It's like, no, I don't need that. I could speed through the test. Like, I'm reading it fast. I just don't want to take it. And as soon as I get there, like, because I'm so stressed about taking it, it's like a mental block. And I can't remember anything at all.
Right.
So
Yeah,
like,
it's data dump.
That's
what they call it anyway. And so then once did it ever get better? Did you go to, after high school, did you end up going to college?
No, I just kind of like stayed and went to McDonald's instead.
I dropped out of after my first year. You remember?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, nope, not for me. So I was curious because some people I know that it's like they become extra like fixated, like the hyper focus on their career, and so then they become in whatever they want to do. For you, what was what do you see yourself doing in the future?
I really do not know. Like, I always said like this job would kind of be like a after high school job, and I was gonna go to school, and I wanted to be a teacher for a long time, and I was like, oh, let's get the money for it, and I'll save up, and then life kind of happened.
Yeah,
things just got really expensive, and then like the pandemic, and I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely gonna be a teacher now.
If you stay long enough anywhere, you can make pretty good money. You could raise a family, so there's nothing wrong with that. And then you have a little one to take care of now.
Yeah.
So, no, I think you got your hands full, if anything. So I'm really sorry if this is a bad time to ask, but I do want to know, like, what was your mom like?
She was like amazing. And like, I don't know, I don't think I look like her at all. And we recently went to my cousin's like wedding. My cousin Nancy just got married, and she looks so much like her, and it's crazy to think about. She was a very tall, very loud woman, and I was kind of like, I'm the opposite of her. I'm short, like 5'6", on a good day, but like I say I'm a short person, and she was 6'1", like blonde, like, and I was like, she was wonderful, like, and so I just remember her being like loud and just funny and just like very kind and warm, and that's kind of like all I try and be, but it doesn't really work out. I'm short.
Well, 5'6" is pretty good. 5'6" is actually average for guys. I don't know if that's true.
We could say that. I'm 5.
Or is it 5'9"? Oh, sorry.
This episode of Win the Night podcast is sponsored by you. Win the Night Galaxy Collection is now available. Head on over to buysomemerch.store and get your hands on an all-over print hoodie, or you could grab one of our Galaxy Fleece blankets and get cozy before you watch the next episode. Stay cozy and stylish this season with the Galaxy Collection. Use the code SEND IT to get free shipping on your order. Now, back to the episode.
No, 5'6" for women is average, isn't it then?
I think so.
Yeah, so that's not bad.
I just wanted to be tall. I just want to be like Amazonian. That'd be awesome.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you could always wear. It's not weird if you wear high heels.
I can't walk in them. I'm not that much of a girl. Like, no, it does not work out like that.
I always wondered what that was like, because I try. Here's an embarrassing story. One time I tried out my mom had these high heels because she was into fashion a lot. I was like, how do they walk on those? And so like I tried it and I was like, absolutely not. No, I would never be able to do that. I don't. How do you muster the foot strength for that? I
have no idea how people wear them all the time. Like I can wear them for like a few hours because I have to, and I immediately change in like slippers or something. Yeah. I was like, I have no idea how people do it. Like on like the taller they go, the more wobbly you are.
Like stilettos, yeah.
I was like, how are you not falling over? People have to have great coordination. I just don't have that. Was not blessed with that.
I was about to say that. I'm very discombobulated. I didn't.
100%.
You know how like when kids learn to walk, they learn how to balance themselves, and like I just like bypassed that lesson in life.
Yeah.
And into my adulthood, I had to learn how to be more coordinated. I always tell this. We always tell this story about like marching being like a weird thing. When I went in the military, like people literally like it's like they forgot how to walk because they overthought what marching was, and so like you're just walking but like more uniformly. And people would do the robot where like they move the same hand with the same foot, and so they look like they're waddling. And I was one of those for like for like a good couple weeks before we finally got it down. And I was like, oh, this wasn't hard at all. And then I'm like in my head, this was very difficult. But yeah, I'm very discombobulated in short. So I did want to know then, what is it that you aim to be as a mom? What's your goal?
I don't know. I just want her to be happy, and I just want to be around her as much like as I can. I think that's like one thing that my goal is. Like I'm so nervous that I'm gonna miss so much, and because I am like at work, I think it's forever because it's only 8 hours of the day, but like it's 8 hours out of her like all the time when she's like awake. So that's like really messes me up. But I don't know. I just want to be like around there and like for her as much as I can.
Yeah.
And I want her to be like just nice to people. That's all I want. I just want her not to grow up and be like a serial killer, because like that's how you know you messed up as a mom. Like, I mean, like not really. I mean, I didn't say that out loud. I'm so sorry to moms of serial killers. Like I didn't mean to offend you, but like on the low, like, sorry. As long as she doesn't kill someone.
I don't think that it's irrational for you to say that you're afraid that you don't want her to be a serial killer. Right? I mean, like, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'll let her do like a lot in life. Like I'll let her do whatever she wants and like grow up. And I'm gonna try and be like a little less strict than like my parents were, because I kind of grew up in like a stricter household because my dad wanted to keep things kind of like the same. So like I wasn't allowed to like dye my hair, and like I always thought that was crazy. So now I'm just like, well, I'm gonna dye whatever I want. Like, so now I went crazy with it. So like I'll let her like experiment, like kind of, and like there's some things like we can always like be nice and kind of like get the feel for, but I'm not gonna. Crazy. Like I said, like she can't be a murderer, like or a drug dealer. Like I feel like I'm gonna put like the stops there. But, like you can't do that. Like no, like you gotta leave, and then you could do that. Then at least like make enough money to leave, and then sell drugs. Like right now, please stop.
I like how it's in there at some point, and then if you want, you could do that.
Just your own house. Like, not under. Please.
No, I don't think that's irrational. I think that's pretty reasonable. I definitely would also hope the same thing if I ever had a kid was,
right? Like,
please don't kill people. I would appreciate it.
we're setting the bar so low. Like,
Yeah.
that's all you gotta do, dude. Like, I don't even care.
What is Maddie like now? Do you think she's anything like you as a kid?
Right now I kind of say she's like feral. I know it's like not great to explain your kid like that, but I say she's like just feral and crazy. She's very energetic and like hyper, and like I was very, talkative and hyper, and she looks so much like Jake. It's insane.
Yeah.
But like I pulled up a photo, and like of course there was a photo of me going through a cabinet, and it was like full of cleaners, and I was like, okay, this Windex I'm holding in the photo, like, but that's like same thing with Maddie. She's like over there in the closet, like pulling out the Windex stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, no, like she's the same thing. She's just like us, and they always say they're gonna be like you, but even worse. And I was like, oh no, we're in so much trouble. Jake talks so much. This is all she's gonna do is talk. Like we are in so much trouble.
Well, I mean, it's a good and a bad, I would say. It's good in that, to be that social that early. I mean, they're not gonna
100%,
they're not gonna have a problem.
She'll make all the friends. Thankfully, I don't have to make any friends like at mom classes or anything.
Right.
Like she could just have all of her friends, and I could stand in the corner and just support her. Like that's great. Like good.
Yeah,
I don't have to be outgoing and make her friends, and like she can have friends because there's moms who have to do that, and I'm not that kind of person. Like I can't do that.
Yeah, no, that's reasonable. And then, do you notice any of? So you just said you mentioned a little bit that you noticed some of the behaviors that you had as a kid. So is she more like you personally, or is she more like Jake?
I don't know. Right now,
Like as a person, like.
Right now, I feel like she is a lot like Jake because Jake just talks loud in general. So like she'll start quietly and then she'll just be loud and think it's normal.
Yeah.
So she'll just be like yelling at us, and it's like no, just because like Jake gets excited when Jake will be talking, and they get like really into the conversation and just naturally get louder, and then she'll just like sit there and just naturally get louder, and it's like oh my gosh, and then she does the same faces that Jake does, which is like kind of creepy, but like she'll do the same little smile, and I was like oh my gosh.
You've given birth to a sequel.
Yeah, it's not the funnest.
To a part two.
No, literally.
Another one. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think if anything, to be fair, she's a very adorable kid. Fortunately, kids are pretty adorable in general.
Right.
And but yeah, no, you definitely do have a cute kid.
Thankfully, yeah.
Yeah.
There is some kids, like, I think I could say it as a mom, like, I probably shouldn't say this. All kids are cute, but, like, there's some that you're like, oh, my God. Like, get the bucket hat over it. Like, come on. Like, no, she's good, thankfully. We looked out. And, like, the next one is going to be, like, the really quiet one, the one that, like, reads and just has to wear the glasses like I do, and just going to be, like, the little dork. And I'm like, that's fine. I'll be excited for that one. We can have one outgoing, one like Jake, and then the next one will be my little friend.
One thing that I do, for me either way, I used to think about, like, they used to matter to me a lot is like, oh, if I ever have a kid, like, I hope they're adorable and all that and whatnot. But like, to be honest, like, I don't know. I think I just want a kid to grow up and want to do something in life and want to be happy with what they're doing. Yeah. That's like the most important thing, because like, I used to think that was really important. Like I said, like looks, and even to this day, I do care about how I look too. Like I just want to make sure that I'm not like coming out like ripped jeans, and like, like at least care a little bit about what you do. And but it's not as important, anywhere near as important as it used to be in my life, and it really did change how I interacted with people. And so that's what I would hope that I could pass on to a kid, no matter what they look like. Because like, I used to think like that, and yeah, it was like I hope they're all right. Now that's kind of how that's how I look at it now. Well, I just hope they're all right.
No, 100%. Yeah, I hope she just doesn't eat some like Lysol or something. Like I don't really care. Do whatever you want. That's what I keep saying. Like you're fine. And like I know like it's kind of like messed up, but I've always had complicated eating like relationships. I'm always just like have her eat everything. So now I kind of have to like stop myself. Like, oh, she doesn't need that 5th snack of the day. She's gonna be fine without it. So like that's one thing I do have to like break as a mom. I'm always just like, oh, she can eat whatever she wants. Go ahead, let her eat it. Like it's okay. It's like no. She doesn't need 4 pouches of applesauce today. She's already had 2 because she was mad at me. It's like I can let her relax. Like she's not gonna starve. But I don't know. That is like one thing I do struggle with. I'm just like, oh no, she has to eat more.
Right. Yeah. Well, what was, if you don't mind me asking, what was difficult for you with food?
Well, I mean, like growing up, I was always like heavier set. Like I was not comfortable with how I looked a
Okay.
lot of times, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, you weren't that heavy." It's just like I don't know. I've always had problems with the way I looked, and then right after like high school, I kind of like deeply went into like a really bad, I would say like eating disorder, and now like I always just say like I have like disordered eating problems. I don't want to say like I'm getting out of it, but I don't want to say like I'm fully out of like cured, I guess, or fixed of it, because I never did go to a therapist for that. I just kind of like worked my way like around it and like my way around the thinking. And so but now like I do say I still have like those problems, because like I do like does like problem like with Maddie, I'm always like, oh, she needs to eat. And even with Jake, I was like, oh, you need to eat like something. Or like I'll be like, oh, like I'm kind of hungry, and I'm like, you hungry? And Jake's like, no. I was like, okay, I'm not that hungry anymore. Like, and then I like won't eat. Like that's not normal for me. And like for some reason I was just like, oh wait, like hold on, I should eat. Or Jake's really nice and we'll be like, oh no, you should eat something, like you could still eat without me. And I was like, no, I can't, I really can't.
I'll let you in on a secret. One thing I've struggled with food before too, and to this day I do try to. I have to tell myself now, like it's okay to eat, and it's hard because like I guess you could call it body dysmorphia. I guess that's what it's technically called. In the military, kind of like spiked that up to like times 10. I don't know if Jake or if you remember how it was like maybe like 5 years ago, and like I was a stick at one point, and because like I thought that's what you had to look like, like that's what looking good has to be, and so I completely understand what that's like, and I hope that it gets better for you over time, because it's okay to eat. It's okay to also once in a while have an extra dessert. I know, like I ate a whole pie the other day because like I was feeling an apple pie, and I'm like, the old me would definitely not do that, and I should now. It's basically what that was.
I support that.
Yeah, because like whatever, like my body's gonna change.
Yeah.
My body's going to change, and I can't stop that. And that's the part that I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
And so I hope that for you, it's not super difficult as the years go by, because I completely understand what that's like. We are getting close on time. So before we wrap up, I like to ask 3 questions to all of my guests. What do you believe? Well, do you believe you found your purpose? And if so, what do you think it is? If not, what do you think it might be?
I wouldn't say I know what my purpose is in life. I would say, but I know what my purpose is for right now. And my purpose for right now is just kind of like being a mom and like taking care of my little like family that we got going. And like, I just want to make sure like Jake is always like happy and healthy, and make sure like my little one Maddie and even the stupid cat is like healthy and like happy. And I don't know, right now like my purpose is just kind of like being a mom, and like I'm okay with that. And like slowly I could like find other things and like get into other things. But right now my life is just like being a mom and like taking care of my little one. And I kind of like, I don't know, I like that. So
there's nothing wrong with that. I already asked you this question, so I'm going to skip it. But what I usually say is like, what do you plan on doing for the future? But you've already answered that. I guess, well, maybe we could go in depth a little bit more. As far as where you're at now, do you plan on being like an owner, like a franchise owner, or what's your goal?
I mean, like, honestly, like that is like really, really into it. And like, I don't know too much of it, but like I looked around on like the McDonald's websites, and like I do some classes to be like a technical engineer or a technical person. So like I do, it's called an OTP, and it's like stupid, but it's just like a tech person there. But I was like doing the classes online, and I was like, oh, I know this. Oh, I know all this. And so now like I kind of moved my way up. So like all I have to do like next is take like paid classes, and I could be like a tech person. So I was thinking about like maybe doing that instead of being like a manager.
Yeah.
Because I could like go and be like like run a store, and I was just like, oh, this is free, and I was like, okay. So like I am like technically I have like and like I have like college college credits, because I did go to like McDonald's classes.
Yeah.
So at least like I could do something with that, but I haven't really decided yet.
I think, well, let me tell you something. I don't know if you know this, but I'm also a tech. I'm a nerd, so I completely support that. I think that anywhere you go, you could be a tech anywhere.
Yeah.
Whether you want to be a tech for, like a franchise like McDonald's, or a franchise like, let's say Microsoft or whatever, there's a tech for everything.
Yeah.
And the great thing about being a tech is, for me, it was not going to school. to get to the point where I could know what I needed to know.
Yeah.
It's an on those type of jobs are on the job.
Yeah.
So like they could show you like, this is a broken machine. This is how I'm going to fix it. And you don't need to pass a test. Like, it's just like, hey, is it working now? You passed. And that's something that that's why I am a tech, is because like I don't have to go to college for this thing, and I love doing it.
Yeah.
So I like to fix broken things, as they say. But that's great. That's a great career choice, is being a tech. And not just because I'm in it. Last final question for you is, and if I can remember it, it always escapes me on the last minute. Let's see. Hold on. Give me like 5 seconds. We're gonna have to cut that part out, huh? 5. Yeah. Okay. Give me a second. Yeah. Right. Like I had it. Yeah. I just like had. There's the anxiety for you. What was it?
I mean, since we have this time, can I just say you were like phenomenal at this. You were very nice. You were very good at like leading the conversation and like making it flow. And, like,
thank you.
As you can tell, I'm a ball of stress, but like you were very nice about it.
Oh.
I'm like, thank you. And if you want to, like, obviously you can cut this out, but if you want to like delete this whole entire thing, I understand. Like, and I get it, but like you were very nice about it at least.
No,
so, like, thank you.
That's not gonna happen. The point of this show isn't to only show the best interactions. This is actually what I think people need to see, is that it's okay to not have perfect interactions with people. I think that that's perfectly normal and part of life. And I've had plenty of awkward or not comfortable conversations with people where I'm like, I definitely shouldn't have said that. And it happens to me every day, including today, where, for example, like I don't know what to say next. And so now I have to literally watch my own podcast to find out what I say at the end. But that just happens. I'm not going to get rid of the episode though. That would be, I locked your phone. I think with the last question, the most important part is what can we do to support you now? Is there a way would you like for us to, is there something that you're working on that you'd like for us to follow? How can people keep track of you?
Well, I would definitely say that, like, I don't know, I'm not nothing, but I would say definitely check out Ding Social. It's this social network site that's coming up. There is going to be some blogs on there. There's a daily Bing, the blog. There's some really great posts on there, and I guess I might have some, Jake said. So I don't know if I decide to do that, but definitely check out that.
If you could talk to your childhood self, what would you say and why?
Just don't be so hard on yourself. And, like, honestly, I'm just so sorry. I don't know. I feel like I was really hard on myself was growing up, and even, like, now, I'm just so hard on myself, and I don't know why. I just feel like everything has to be so perfect. And nothing does. Like, really, in the end scheme, like honestly, like, I don't want to say, like, nothing really matters at the end of the day, but, like, nothing really matters. Like, everything is going to be fine at the end of the day, and, like, that's just honestly what I would say. And be nicer to, like, everyone else. Because I feel like I was just kind of, like, I don't know, mean. And I don't know. I just feel like I could have been nicer to everyone, and I just kind of feel bad.
No, well, it's great that you recognize, because, you say that, like, oh, you're very nice. I was a bully. And I sometimes still am. Like, it's, I'm an imperfect person as well. So there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you can recognize that sometimes I'm mean, or sometimes I was rude, or sometimes I'm just the same. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for being on and being open and being vulnerable. It's very difficult for people to do that. And so for you to have sat here and done that is a huge milestone. And I know a lot of people are going to be watching and going to be grateful that you did that, because maybe that's something they're struggling to do. And so thanks again for being on, and I hope to have you on again.